For Ernest. July 28, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. I already have a system worked out that far surpasses anything QFS the military has, fast, secure, yet transparent so far as transactions go, completely unhackable and alien to any systems presently in place, deployable worldwide, accessible for everyone, free to private parties, fees paid by corporations according to their size and net income, far better than the present Internet or Google, designed for secure commercial and banking transactions. But instead of talking to us in an open and forthright way, they send me military planners and mathematicians who have already failed to provide such a system, who nose around trying to get the technology for free and to dictate how we can use our own invention. The plain fact is that we have been lied to about mathematics just as we have been lied to about everything else. We can't get there from here as a result. The QFS system is a bomb. It leaks like a sieve and is a very limited utility. Last I heard, they could run it for 6 minutes a day. Try to run the world's financial needs on 6 minutes a day. Any questions as to why the system they have doesn't work and isn't secure and has a host of problems they can't solve? Kim and her sidekick, Tank, keep on talking and explaining away, but they can't actually do what they say they can do. She only has half the keys. And she doesn't know who the male counterpart is, so they are stuck there, too. She doesn't even know enough to know that she has a male counterpart. She doesn't know how the system she is trying to work is actually set up and she doesn't know why. I do. Lol. Go figure. God has a great sense of humor. Maybe it's payback for my lost career as a mathematician? But all these people think that they are the big wigs and the controllers and the fastest, smartest, etc., 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 so I just let them go along and fritter away and stew in their own juice and wait for that magic moment when they realize that they are getting nowhere and aren't going to get anywhere by themselves. Then maybe they will humble themselves and come see Grandma and I can help them get back on the road. But only if they ask nicely and act appropriately going forward. I am not in the business of suffering fools and I don't appreciate being taken for one, either. The key to all of this is honesty, Ernest. All these people have been trained to lie and preconditioned to lie. They think that's natural. They think that they are doing it in the national security interest and blah blah blah, but they aren't. They are deceived by forces outside themselves. They think that their need to control things and approve of things overthrows the basics of common morality, like the simple fact that taking someone else's assets without their voluntary and free permission is theft. The military has been going around confiscating whatever they like for so long that they have forgotten common decency and the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments are still in full force and effect. Thieves are thieves and putting some pretty top dressing on it and making excuses doesn't change that. Liars, cheats, gossips, false witnesses, thieves, murderers, are all abhorrent to the living God. So when the military confiscates the world's financial backing assets from private individuals who are innocent and honest, guess who God turns against? The military. That's why despite the Nazis' firm belief in God-mituns, they lost the war and were trampled and defamed. They forgot the basics. They forgot the 10 Commandments. They forgot the rules. They forgot common decency. The same thing will happen to our military if they don't repent and start dealing with a full deck. The laws of God are all like the law of gravity. Ignore them, and you fall flat on your rump. Doing this and doing it right requires bringing the actual owners and trustees of the legacy trusts to the table and dealing with the fact that the military doesn't own those assets and whatever claim it has to controlling those assets is naturally subject to dealing with the owners of the assets in a moral and respectful way. There are those who would have you believe that the world's assets are owned by monsters, all controlled by the evil Illuminati banking cult families, and that therefore, the military is justified in taking all their assets and setting up their meritocracy system. First, tell me how they are going to set up a system based on merit, when they have forgotten things as fundamental as don't steal other people's property? Are we talking about the merit of being the best, most creative crooks? Or the merit of telling lies for a supposedly good cause? For example, if I hear one more big whopper about climate change, I think I will just throw up in public and divert attention to more realistic things. Second, tell me what you believe all that crapula about the evil Illuminati banking cult families? The truth is that the bankers work for the military and the military works for the Pope and the Queen in the Western world. All bankers are military bankers, except for the very few who do function as private bankers. Even the Queen is a military banker for the Pope under the Commonwealth system. So if you have a problem with the bankers, by definition, you have a problem with 1. The military and 2. The Pope and the Queen. 95% of the mismanagement of the banking system lies squarely with the military. We are living under a largely British-controlled military protectorate and have been living under these conditions for over 100 years. Our Navy, our Marines, and our Coast Guard are not our own. We entrusted all those functions to the British monarch and the Pope. Coast Guard under our delegated authority, and the British monarch is in gross breach of trust, and so is the Pope. So, add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, and what do you get? The bankers and lawyers have been busily bilking and plundering and pillaging us at the direction of our own military, which in turn has been misdirected by the Queen, who has been acting as a subordinate and collaborator of the Pope and the Lord Mayor of London. They have suborned the civilian courts and replaced them with civil courts and military tribunals instead. And then, acting under color of law, as if this were anything but a military dictatorship with a veneer of political control covering it, the military has been confiscating our homes and telling lies about us and betraying our interests in the name of the law of necessity. They haven't been protecting us, and they haven't been upholding their oaths to the actual Constitution, either. It's right there in front of our noses, and it is up to us to put it right back under their noses. The military controls the banking system, so don't blame the bankers. If the military wanted to solve the foreclosure crisis in this country, it would be solved tomorrow. If they wanted to honor their agreements made in 1933-34 and make good on the mutual offset credit exchanges they promised us, the national debt would evaporate like morning fog. Instead, they just want to lie, lie, lie and control, control, control. And we all know who the father of all lies is, don't we? We all know that the living God gifted us with free will, don't we? Remember what I said about the 10 Commandments being in full force and effect? Remember what I said about the inexorable nature of God's laws and getting knocked down on your rump if you forget? There are Illuminati banking cult adherents, but the majority of the people who actually own and are owed the world's banking assets are ordinary people. Farmers. Indian chiefs. Housewives. Those are the people that the military doesn't control, and therefore, the people that the military is afraid of, and the people that the military is stealing from. The Illuminati are a piece of cake, co-conspirators, willing lackeys who happily jump as high as the military wishes them to jump in exchange for a cut of the profits. It's the rest of us, who have the odd idea that since we pay the military should indeed be subject to our civilian government, not the civil government, as the constitutions require. They have justified or tried to justify their endless protectorate by pretending that the need to reconstruct the original state-owned corporations doing business as states of states was of paramount importance, and that our government ceased to exist and was in abeyance while we sorted this out and established new federal corporations. In fact, no such thing is true. Our states, which delegated all federal authorities, are still here, still competent, still able to assemble and conduct business. We simply weren't informed fully by our employees. In fact, we were deliberately not told the truth and not assisted by our employees, who have instead taken the bit in their teeth and run roughshod over the entire world in our names and at our expense. So the truth of the matter, Ernest, is that 1. The military has made a hash of things, 2. They are having a lot of trouble facing up to this fact and are afraid they will be found guilty of treason and other crimes, 3. They are compounding the problems they have caused by not being honest and not accepting civilian, as opposed to, civil control, 4. They don't know how to solve the banking problems or solve the system's requirements for a new global banking interface, 5. Both the Queen and the Pope know that their misdeeds are discovered, so they are circling the wagons and tightening the purse strings, 6. And though I can help them sort this all out, they need to approach all of this in terms of conciliation and mutual benefit, and 7. In full view of the necessity of giving up the culture of lies and commercial feudalism. Given their belief in lies and their enthusiasm for plundering everyone including their employers, this adjustment back to civilian control and respect for the actual Constitution and the Ten Commandments, is a hard bowl of ice cream to swallow.